Hello YouTube, I'm Sprinkle Jinx and today I'm going to be doing a review of Velma post. I went in thinking people were just mad about the main cast not being all white anymore and Scooby being gone. I like the idea of more diversity and more adult themes in Scooby-Doo. I went in optimistic. As you expected, the bad writing hit me harder than the Mystery Machine. The opening scene starts with Velma immediately talking about how stories are normally told about white men and how she doesn't want people to think she is like other girls. She almost sounds like she's bragging about being more original than them. I'm not the judge of whether or not her complaints are valid because I have no business telling other people outside Mary's how they're supposed to feel. I will say that it seems like the writers have a sense of superiority for doing the bare minimum. Taking characters already written, changing their race, rating them super out of character, and dumping a bunch of negative stereotypes on her isn't being progressive. There are plenty of cartoons like The Owl House, Kipo, The Age of the Wonder Beast, Coco, Amphibia, Over the Moon, Moana, and Encanto that have protagonists who are not white men, and these protagonists are treated with the dignity they deserve. Speaking of giving female characters dignity, our next scene takes place in the showers of a high school locker room. Not a college locker room, a high school locker room. Ew! Anyway, we get some raunchy gross-out humor with roaches. Now keep in mind that the writers just sent Scooby to Cruella to get Old Yellard because the show was too mature for a talking dog. Some jokes I can't land a laugh, and a Riverdale reference I don't get later. Velma barges into the locker room, full-on assaults Daphne out of nowhere because they grew apart and Daphne got too popular or some shit like that. I went into this knowing Velma was gonna be kinda rude because I saw the trailer, but Velma was kinda nasty to Shaggy and Scooby and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. But this is just completely out of character! During the fight, a dead body falls out of Velma's locker along with another bad joke. The interrogation scene seemed like something out of bad fan fiction. Velma is interrogated by Daphne's police officers' mothers who are A-okay with Velma attacking their daughter for seemingly no reason. They don't even ask her any important questions about the victim or the case. They just basically ask her why she's in the showers with clothes on, and then they start making unprofessional comments about her weight, her body hair, and then they send her Karma Houdini ass on her way. But a talking dog is too unrealistic. Then there's a weird restaurant funeral scene where Daphne's shower friend, who's basically just Karen Smith from Mean Girls, sings some kind of weird song. And then they all yell at Velma for being there, and then she runs into Freddy, who's some kind of himbo baby man-child thing. Daphne puts her hands on Freddy, and he says he's uncomfortable, and she yells at him to man up, which is pretty problematic. But nobody cares, because double standards are a bitch. Velma actually helps him through his daddy issues, and is surprisingly supportive. This made me think that maybe she would get some character development, or maybe some redeeming qualities, but she later blames him for killing the locker girl because he's a white guy with small privates. I have no clue who we're supposed to be rooting for, because everybody is so horrible that they make Scrappy look likable. The bad news is, her talk with Fred opens up a new can of worms. Velma's PTSD is introduced, and it's tastelessly played for laughs. Her own father was more worried about the camera falling on the floor than his daughter having a panic attack. When her trauma isn't being played for laughs, it's used to rush the romance. Seriously, I'm on episode 2, and her panic attacks are already led to her being kissed and confessed to love to by 2 different characters. I don't have PTSD. I don't have a doctorate in psychology, but I'm 90% sure that's not how it works. The imagery with the hands and stuff looks pretty cool though. Norville comes zooming in to make some kind of awkward voicemail joke that went on entirely too long, followed by another running joke about Norville being in the friend zone. I'd say that the male characters were dumbed down to make the female characters look more competent, but the female characters are so catty they can't get anything done either. The humor of the show doesn't work because the constant pointing out obvious cliches makes the dialogue feel unnatural, and the jokes are too repetitive and overstay their welcome. Every scene feels like that burping farting contest Shaggy and Scooby get into, and that one part of the Scooby-Doo movie that everybody skips. But Matthew Lillard isn't there, so it's worse. The show goes out of its way to try to offend everyone and anyone, which leaves them with basically no audience except for YouTubers who want to analyze it. I heard that the writers are already saying that people who don't like the show are racist and homophobic. But it's perfectly acceptable for them to write Velma, who eats french fries out of the vacuum cleaner like a slob, and gets treated like she's the ugliest thing on earth to a point where even one of the good guys compares her body to a gorilla's. Politically incorrect humor could work if its delivery is done right. In Hello Boss and Has Been Hotel, they're supposed to be bad people. Karma normally happens right after, and we aren't supposed to idolize them or take what they say as fact. This is probably super weird to bring up, but my neurodivergent brain won't let me be satisfied unless I add it. The show reminds me of when I was doing a morning announcements for broadcasting class. I was so excited because they picked us to do a daily news report on Fun Friday, and it was Scooby-Doo themed. I came to school wearing my sister's Velma costume and my ass hat partner dressed up as Shaggy. It was going perfectly, which was a surprise for me because with my speech problems, reading on a teleprompter was always something that I had trouble doing. When the script said for him to say, "Have a fantastic Friday," he said, "Have a pessimistic Friday day instead," and started complaining about this theme of the class. I said jinkies and gestured for them to cut the cameras, but the damage had been done because it was live for the entire school. The whole walk back to the classroom, I was yelling, "Pessimistic Friday? You could have said anything else! What is wrong with you?" Our grade, which would have been a perfect score, was ruined for the both of us, and we were never picked again to be on camera for morning announcements. Every Friday for the next 2 months, at least one teacher or student would tell me to have a pessimistic Friday. Moral of the story, don't let Edgewords ruin Scooby-Doo.